Ah, ah. Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could be so high. On a wing and a prayer. Who could it be? What do you imagine? It's me. Ah, do you recognize that song? It, it was on top 40 stuff, I think, with even Casey Kasem style stuff, because it was a theme song to The Greatest American Hero back when I was growing up. I must have been about 12 years old, just watching that stuff. Aliens came down and gave William Catt was the name of the actor, and Robert Culp played Bill Maxwell, the FBI guy that was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And they teamed up. But William Catt's character, The Greatest American Hero, he got a suit given to him by aliens. They came down, he was in the desert, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" He was a school teacher, a high school teacher, I think. He was likable. He was he was placid. He was a regular guy that didn't stir shit up. But at one point when he finally got the book, he lost the book at first, and then through the episodes, the seasons, there may have only been 2 to 3. He found the book again, and he learned how all the stuff you could do with this suit, like Robert Downey Jr. after the heroin thing, and Less Than Zero, but in the Marvel comic books, how he gave Peter Parker, Spider-Man, a suit. And if you knew how to use it, it was fantastic. But if you don't have the fucking manual, you don't know what it's capable of. My own car, I can roll all the windows down with my key at once and let the heat bore out. It's got secrets in the manual. You got to read the manual. William Catt's character, The Greatest American Hero, he got the goddamn manual back and he's like, "Hey, look at that." And so he found the place where he could shrink to just really small, kind of like the Ant-Man in Marvel Comics, I suppose. But when he got really small, he had the manual with him, and it was really small, and he set it down on a rock. He must have been telling a story and got distracted. Oh, forgot to open my beer. Can't talk and think at the same time. That's why I get punched in the face so often. That's for you, Zach. What was I talking about? And so he set the damn manual on a fucking little rock. It must have been a sand pebble, probably looked like a boulder. I don't know. He was small. Set it down, and then he got big again. And he was like, "Fuck, I left the manual." And he got small again. He couldn't find the fucking manual. That's The Greatest American Hero. Just always somebody that just doesn't have an idea what it is he's supposed to be doing with the tools that have been offered to him. It seems to be people are talking about UFOs again lately, or unidentified anomalous phenomena, which is a good name if UFO didn't go so well. It sounds much better than UAP. UFO has a flow, it's got a rhythm, but this UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena, it kind of describes me. I'm an anomaly bordering on a singularity, from what I can tell, just by doing my own research. And none of that comes from Google. Nothing against Google, but they don't have my stories about me because I'm fast. The only stories that are ever told about me are in police locker rooms after a hard day. Yeah, still not like that one day. Remember that guy? I wish I could, but he was so fast I never got a fucking good look at him. Talking about all these UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena, flying around in the sky and shit. And I'm like, well, if we're going to talk about it, I might as well tell you what I fucking saw. Um, I was working carpentry, labor. Uh, we cut, we built, we framed, we roofed, we did all this stuff at the time. And there was young Randy was on the job. And one day he told me a story about when he was screwing around as a kid. I'm 15 years older than young Randy and 15 years younger than Randy. It sounds like a conundrum, but it's not. It's just the fact that I worked with two people named Randy, and I was right there in a 15-year focal point, I suppose you'd call it. Are these people surrounding me, or am I following one of them? Who came before Randy? Who comes after young Randy? Is it me? Probably not. Remember, I'm an anomaly bordering on a singularity. And he told me he was screwing around when he was a kid. He was with it. He was with his uncle by the high school in Gaylord, and over the forest behind it, he saw these three fucking red lights flying low, coming, and he described them, and it was just they're obviously one piece is the way he fucking felt like it when I asked him about it. So, but he brought it up first. I'm pretty sure we've had similar experiences, and I don't like to think that he's just saying he had those experiences because I fucking said something highfalutin and off the wall. I mean, highfalutin because who's going to understand it but me? I don't think of things that way. But he described this thing that he saw coming over the trees, flying low. And I said, because when I was like 12 years old, if we're going to talk about fucking UFOs and UAPs and everything else, like possibly the computer simulation, we'll leave God out of the equation because there's less fucking data that supports God than there is that supports aliens and computer simulation. I can't be sure about that, but I'm guessing if you looked it up, it only makes sense. Got to have some validity in your science, in your self loathing and understanding. You need to be able to yell at something because it disagrees with you, even though you have every chance to agree with it. You're always welcome over there, but they'll never come to you. So I went on to tell him about how at about 12 years old, I would have to drive by the cemetery, and I was always scared by doing that. But once I got by the cemetery, it's still going, and I come rolling into my driveway, which north there on Morgan Road, there's a little rise, which that Lappin kid wrecked his motorcycle. I think he lost 70% of his skin. He survived. But my uncle Carl, my dad, saw it happen. When he went by, they said, he's going too fast. He's going to hurt himself. And they went, rah! Because that little rise, if you don't know how to go over it, and you've got a goddamn crotch rocket, it gets up under your fairings and it picks you up off of that. And he lost it going at a high rate of speed. Morgan Road, teenager's demise, a teenager's dream. Demise comes second, according to my Uncle Raymond. I went blowing by the cemetery on my bicycle, getting home, and I looked up and I saw something coming across the field, across the road at Bernie's. And I was like, what the hell is that? And I was a little kid, so I didn't even say how. I said, what is that? I didn't say fuck. I was a good kid. I was going to be a priest. And I'm like, what is that? And I went flying up onto that rise where I was just above the elevation there. And I looked and I saw a thing with 2, 3 red lights. Just, it seemed symmetric, linearly equal. And it was coming across, but not just it, another one right off on its flank. And they were coming across the cornfield that way. And they were going slow, and they weren't high in the air. And they were going, it wasn't a fucking helicopter. Not in those days. Who knows what they're doing with helicopters by now? But if they'd have been doing that with helicopters back then, they'd have those helicopters right now. Instead of and hearing soundtracks from Vietnam. They were right there beside each other, and they were coming across the cornfields low and slow. And I'm on my bicycle. I stopped and I'm looking at them. And because I'd been watching The Greatest American Hero and I wanted a suit, and I read, I would have done all right by the manual. I yelled out. I screamed in the sky and raised my fists like you would see a kid do on TV. I was acting, but I figured this is the way you do it. And I said, what do you want from us? And these spotlights came down on the ground like a police helicopter, which we know it wasn't a police helicopter. I just told you about it. What are the odds? And these spotlights came and they're going all over in the field. And I remember that, but I didn't remember it for years until a couple of years later. I was sitting in a class. I think I was in 7th grade, maybe. I don't know. And I noticed a scar on my finger. I'm not going to show you my fingerprint. You already know enough about me. I show you my testicles and see if you can pick them out of a fucking police lineup. But I'm not showing you my fingerprint. There was a scar, and I was like, where the hell did that come from? I mean, look, I've got fucking scars and wounds all over me. I've got staple marks in my head, but only once. If they'd have left me, I would have just woke up in the ditch and gone home, but somebody thought I was having trouble. So instead, they took me to the hospital and fucking put staples in my head and cut off all my clothes and said, "You can go home." One day I'll show you those. I've shown you before. I wear them to concerts. It's a good set of clothing. I had them sewn back together. They fit like a glove, even the pockets. So these lights are coming around, and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, where the hell did I get that scar? It's like an incision across it. And I didn't know where it came from. I couldn't place it. But immediately I remembered that memory I just told you about. Fucking, what do you want from us? And that's the last I remember. There was no after that. I think they got me. I don't think they got me. I think there's a possibility they got me. Yeah, that's better, and that's the truth. I had these things, and I only remembered them when I noticed the scar. They must have treated me really well because I didn't feel any different than after serving Mass with Monsignor Kaminsky. I would have remembered that. God won't bless you anymore. That's the quote. So I'm like, that's odd. That kid remembers having seen something in a region like close to between 10 and 15 years after I saw these two things. What do you want from us? Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. But the best part of it all is that my sister, after my mom's funeral, we were at the bonfire, and she started telling this story about these three lights coming down her backwoods country road. And she's there with her husband. They're like, I don't know, what is that? And I was like, holy crap. I said this, and I told the story I just told you. And at the end of it, she says, he's trying to one up me. I'm like, I'm not trying to one up you. I'm just trying to support your story. That was three people, including me. Oh, me and young Randy and my sister that had seen these fucking things. Just trying to share it. That's the best part of the story? No. You can't make the best part of the story something so negative from a cunt. It should be the best part of the story is that I'm reaching out to you now in the times of UAP, and you know, really, if that poor guy were to speak tomorrow, he's probably already done it today. I haven't been looking at anything on the TV or whatever we look at. He'd probably say, if I were really in the Epstein file, the aliens would have taken me away to their own court. This Earth's court does not hold the worth of being able to judge me. That's what he would say. And people would go, wow, what a good family man. The best part is that I'm just going to throw this thing out about the three things, which I didn't make it up. If I could make stuff up like this, I'd be writing novels, or I might have a YouTube channel. But you knowing there are already two other people in my region of Gaylord, Michigan that saw this thing over a period of years and individually in different parts of town and Alba, then you might have seen these things too. And I found another scar on the side of my thumb after that was never there that I can't place. Did they come see me again? Are they protecting me? Is this why I'm not dead? Is because they just like God and the devil, if there were such a thing, they'd be sitting together giggling. That's why there are more than one fucking kind of aircraft you see coming around in these UAPs. It's a bunch of them. All the gods in heaven sitting and looking at me and giggling. Look at that fucker go.